it is. About a minute and a half to go. The 10 a.m. start awaits this elite field in the biggest ever half marathon here in the Czechia capital. It is the forerunner to the Prague Marathon, which are 4 weeks and 1 day away, organised as well by Runcheck. And to shut down a capital city like this, much of a capital city, on a Saturday morning is unusual. Most road races, of course, are on Sundays. But for some reason, this race is unusual in that it takes place on a Saturday. But we will see fast racing, we will see great racing. As ever, the top East Africans will dominate. But how quick will it be? Can they get those course records, the men's course record set last year by Sebastian Sawe, 58.24. The women's event record, 64.52 by Joycelyn Jepkoskai. Back in 2017, it was a world record when she set it. And certainly, Rengeruk is saying she can run. She thinks under 64 minutes today.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to General Prague Half Marathon 2025. Witajcie Was na 104. odcinku General Półmaratonu Praha. Praha, patrzy Wam do Prague!
Well, if the athletes show half the energy of the public address announcer, they'll be going very fast this morning. Wow. And the mayor of Prague is the official starter. Primator Bohuslav Svoboda gets them underway. Roman Juras, the CEO of the race sponsor Generali Czechia, also there on the starters rostrum. Now last year with 15,000, it took 27 minutes to get the athletes all across the start line. The thinking is that with a slightly wider start line, it'll take about the same amount of time today to get them all through. There we are to the bottom right, the athletes stretched out queuing behind the start line, and they head immediately in a sort of southwesterly direction along the northern bank of the Vltava. This massive elite field. Well, as I mentioned, Sawe last year for Kenya running 58.24, and he won by, I think it was about 28 seconds, Sawe. It was a very comfortable win. We hope for a more competitive race this morning, and that might lead to a quicker time. This is the 25th edition of this race. It's a very smoothly run operation. The Prague Marathon in 4 weeks' time. That's the 30th edition of the Prague Marathon. Entries for this race, by the way, just in case you're thinking that you'd like to run next year in this astonishingly beautiful city, have filled up in 4 weeks. Long ago it closed, as did the entries for the marathon in 4 weeks' time. That's absolutely full. And apparently an awful lot of local runners, Czech runners, thought they could leave their entering until the last minute, and when they tried to enter, it was full. They left it too late. So my advice to you is, if you want to visit one of the most beautiful cities in the world, in the city of Prague, get your entries in very, very early for the half marathon next year and the full marathon. Runcheck, the organising company, founded by Carlo Capalbo, an Italian who's lived in Prague for many, many years. And back in 2019, Runcheck welcomed its millionth runner. Now, Runcheck has seen 1.47 million runners taking part in their various races. And indeed, I'm sure through 2025, they will go through the 1.5 million marker. Their motto that they stand by year after year now is, all runners are beautiful. And it's a fabulously welcoming message to all runners from around the world. Plenty of South Americans here, athletes in fact from every continent, of course, and hence the attraction to this race of a new sponsor, Generali, an Italian insurance company, biggest insurance, second biggest insurance company in the world, by the way, and the main charity partner, because this race has a very, very close relationship with many great causes, is the main charity partner is the Human Safety Net. A foundation initiated by Generali, which enables people to shape a safer future and building better lives and dreams. It's for the most vulnerable in society, in particular for families with kids under the age of... So, but then came out in Lille on the 16th of March and ran a personal best for 10K. He said he was disappointed with his time there. He feels he's in better form than his time suggested. But maybe today he'll broach new ground. It'd be lovely to see him push down towards 63 minutes, maybe below 63 minutes. Left a picture with that leading men's pack. Lazoy, right in the centre of picture. He's unusual, Lazoy, in the red strip. There Isaiah on his vest, because he incorporates swimming into his training. He says he loves swimming. He knows that it does him good in training. He loves his food too. He said his favourite food is stewed meat with loads of vegetables, and of course ugali, the staple Kenyan food made out of maize flour and water with a little bit of salt. Nothing spectacularly different about his diet, just good healthy meat and veg and ugali. And then of course he has that tea, Kenyan tea, or mursik. It's a traditional fermented milk drink. The Kenyans, they love their tea with plenty of sugar in it, plenty of milk. And his personal best, 58.10, that was in the Danish capital Copenhagen back in September. And he's wanting more. He's only 25, he's getting stronger. He knows he's consistent. He knows the thing about being consistent in racing is you know that you've locked into a formula of training and specific race preparation that has proved to be successful again and again and again. And that gives you huge reinforcement. Kipkoech is in there as well. James Johnson, Kipkoech, the 31-year-old. Look out for him as well. There he is in the purple with James on his vest. He was credited with a 59.56 half marathon in Kaptagat back in Kenya at altitude on the 13th of July last year, but we're not sure how accurate that race was, because 59.56 at altitude would be superhuman. But he's won 4 of the 6 half marathons he contested last year, did James Kipkoech. And Ezra Kita Tanui, well, his best time coming in Madrid 3.5 years ago when he ran 59.43. Now that's interesting, because Madrid is slightly at altitude, not really high, but enough to just affect performances a little bit. So 59.43 is probably worth something a little bit quicker, maybe 30 seconds quicker, something like that. 2 pacemakers here doing a fabulous job. We were chatting to them yesterday and they said, no, we are absolutely going to drop out. We know our priority, our role is to lead the top racers through to 10k, maybe 15k, they said they'll try to get to, and then to step aside. Rodrigue Kwizeira is in there as well. He's in the right, in the red vest to the back there on the right. And as I said, was chatting to him coming in from the airport a couple of days ago. Very focused upon half marathon and 10Ks on the roads. Hasn't run a marathon yet. He says his favourite distance is the 10K, but he's feeling his way into half marathon racing. Now we're back with the leading woman, and she is in isolation here. Quite a contrast to that men's pack, where there's at least 3 fellas running side by side who are going to race each other. This is Lilian Kazait, the Rengeruk. Fabulous in all services. She is the complete runner. A very calm, balanced young lady. Had a chat with her yesterday after the press conference. Married to Isaac Kiptum, who's not a runner but worked for her management company, Galazzo. She's not a mum yet, she emphasised. But as is so often the case with the East African runners, with the dollars she's made from great racing, she helps her family. She has a couple of acres of land with a few cattle on it. Lives in E10, the town of runners up in the Kenyan Rift Valley. But uses the track in Eldoret, about half an hour away. She said she goes there very early in the morning, sort of 6, 7 in the morning, to do her track sessions because it gets so crowded later in the day. Her main session always in the morning. She does want to move up to the marathon. She hasn't run a marathon yet. She trains with Rosemary Wanjiru, who is a great marathon racer. Well, these fellas, and I do apologise for not being able to give you any splits as yet. Still moving very well. What is essential is that at a stage like this, we're about a third of the way into the race, there is no let-up. It's very, very easy to settle into a rhythm that is just below optimal rhythm, below redlining. And these fellas, frankly, if they're going to be running down below 59 minutes, and there are the splits at 5K. Rengeruk went through in 15:04. And a Goodness me, she has a 2-minute lead. No, I can't believe that. That's a lead from the sixth placer. 15:04 for Renger at 5K. Well, that is super fast. We were looking for her to be on 64:10 pace and get the course record. She needs to go through in 15:12. So Renger is flying here. She did say she'd like to run a personal best. And remember, her personal best is 63:32. So that tempo from Renger is super fast. Here's that chasing pack. And you can see Yaragal there, right up alongside the pacemaker, who is one of the top Brits, Irish rather, excuse me, Sean Doyle, I think that is, 37-year-old with the best of 65.55. That was in the Rome Ostia race 3 years ago when he was 27th. Sean Doyle of Ireland, acting, I think, as an unofficial pacemaker for these women. There's 4 women there. Yaragal is there, trying to see the others. I think it's Haile Michael to the right of picture, Sintiyehu Lewitain Haile Michael, the 28-year-old, who has a best of 17 minutes, but she is capable of going a lot quicker than that, there's no doubt about it. She's a 2:26 marathon runner. In fact, it's Sintiyehu. Yes, it is Sintiyehu. That is Haile Michael to the right of the picture there. Comes from Kabir Biran. And her inspiration, and the Ethiopians have so many to take inspiration from, is Tiranesh Dibaba, great Olympic and world champion of a few years ago, great track racer as well. She was 3rd in the Houston Marathon back in 2023 in 2:26. She's run in Prague before, on 2:29 in the Prague Marathon. She was 6th here a couple of years ago. And actually has run this half marathon before, run 71 minutes here a couple of years back. So Sintiyehu to the right of picture, and Veronica Alolio in the centre there, one of the Kenyan of that trio, in 27. She's a 67:08 performer, ran that in Copenhagen last September. And here is Debash Desta. Now she's struggling a little bit, isolated. What, about 15-20 metres back from that trio. She's a 69-minute performer. Ran that in the Rakhov Marathon, Ras Al Khaimah, back on the 1st of February this year, only a couple of months back. 69:03. She has an unofficial best of 68:10 from the Rome Half Marathon last October, but that was on an uncertified course. There are some question marks about that course, not to be mistaken with the Rome Ostia race, which is in March. But Debash here is back in 5th place, by my reckoning. Now, this is interesting. Isaiah Lazoy looks to be losing patience and is pushing on. Maybe the pacemakers just couldn't hold the tempo that he wanted. James Kipkoech there in the purple in 2nd place. You don't often see this. 22 minutes on the clock, and one of the racers, the favourite, has decided the pacemakers are not going quick enough, and he's kicking on and pushing really hard here. And there's a tangible acceleration here from Isaiah Kipkoech Lazoy. This is aggressive running. I can only imagine that he's seen some splits on the side of the road and decided, nope, we're slipping behind the tempo I want. There is a bonus, of course, a cash bonus for a new course record. Actually, only €1,000 for a new course record, but for a world record, €30,000. And if he runs under 58:30, he will get €20,000. That's maybe what he's focusing upon. So, a real surge there to shake it up a little bit from Isaiah Lazoy. Ezra Tanui in the green and black there, right beside him, moving nicely. I'm just trying to see who that is behind them. I think that's James Kipkoech, who's never broken 60 minutes. 60:28 his best, came last November in Ravenna in Italy. Yeah, it is James Kipkoech. Isaiah Lazoy. This trio beginning to get away now from Kwizeira, who hasn't responded fully to that surge. With James Kipkoech responding to him side by side there, pushing the tempo along. They're working together. I wonder if these two Kenyans have been chatting to each other. Ezra Tanui still looking comfortable, tucked in between them, the green and black. He could be a real threat here. ሮድሪጌ Kwizeira looking pretty relaxed, isn't he, in that red vest towards the back of this quartet. Kwizeira, if he's anything like back to his best form, as they go under that black tower, it's known as the Powder Tower. Self-explanatory name, I guess. It's part of the old city walls. That big arch was one of the gates of the old city many, many centuries back. It is one of the great sights that they pass on this course, along with the dancing house, newer structure, the National Theatre, the Old Town Square, which they are heading towards now, Rue Dolphinum. 15 music points on this course too. The organisers really do make it a fabulously exciting race in which to enjoy a journey around the Czech capital. Back to the domestic dust-up. Weber in the red there in the centre of this trio. And behind him, Yuri Homolac hanging onto his coattails. I'm not sure who number 30 is. Apologies for that. I don't have an ID for that athlete. I think perhaps one of the domestic runners as well. Now they pass through the Old Town Square, where there's a temporary market set up on this Saturday morning. Good crowds here, as you can see. Kwizeira and Ezra side by side, negotiating that sharp right-hand turn. It's a square that is famous for its glorious buildings. The old clock there, that tower to the top right of your picture has got a really ancient clock mechanism attached to one side, where little figures come out and toll each hour. You get huge crowds gathering around it when the hour is about to click by. Now they're on Paris Street, as it's known, Fashion Street here in Prague. They're heading back down towards the river. They pass through the main square at 14.5k, and they are rapidly approaching 15k. They will cross the bridge, the Chekov Bridge on the Vltava. That'll be their third. In fact, they won't. They'll turn right just before the bridge. Excuse me, I'm just checking my map. They'll turn right just after 15k, just before the bridge, and head along the south bank. But they are moving well. And that 10k split. They're approaching 15k though, as you can see there. According to the caption top left of the screen, they've just gone through 15k, I reckon at about 41.50. Now that might be about 20 seconds or so outside the target time. It could be spot on if it's around 41.30. So they leave Paris Street and they take this right now, just before crossing the bridge. As you can see in the background, the mass runners coming off that bridge. They are, that pack of runners you can see in the background, the mass runners, are about 2.3 kilometers. They've only covered a couple of kilometers. These athletes have just whistled through 15k. And now Lilian Rengeruk in glorious isolation, but with her pacemaker, big gap on the road behind her. She's approaching 15k. She's gone through 14k. She will past the Powder Tower, I think, very shortly, and then through the main central square of Prague. I do sense that the cadence there for Rengeruk, which goes through 14K, what, about 43:10. That'll take it to 15K in what, about 44:10. Wow, if that's the case, and we'll need to double check that, she is on schedule for something not far outside world record. I'm nervous about mentioning those particular words, but the Powder Tower at a 14K, there it is, 10K for the women, 30:29. Now, if that is correct, then she is on schedule, yes, to run around 64 minutes flat. So apologies for my confusing information, but that was 10K, that was 30:29. That was obviously almost 15 minutes ago. The 15K split for the women is what we're looking for, as we see the fellas now at 44 minutes, almost at 16K, and tanking along. They've come down off a slight downslope from the bridge there. Now a slight upslope as they dip under that 15K, 42 minutes exactly for this leading group. And yeah, they're on schedule for, at the moment, for something around 58:45. So not on, they've slipped outside course record schedule. Towett back in 6th place is over 2 minutes back. This is more about the racing now, I think, than chasing the super fast times that might have been hoped. Vincent Towett, who was a couple of minutes down in this lead group, was a 60:41 performer from March last year when he was second in Milan. But this quartet moving really nicely now, past 16 kilometers, heading along the south bank of the river with the Vltava to their left. Very soon they will pass the magnificent Hilton Hotel, which is the headquarters hotel for the race, for the elite athletes, for hundreds of the mass runners staying in the city who can afford it. It is a glorious hotel. Temptation to ease back on the throttle and head back to their bedrooms. It's probably there for one or two of the athletes running, perhaps not this quartet. Now, Lazoy beginning to impose himself. Just a little bit of a surge there as they went under that tunnel. There you can see some of the water sports facilities to the right of picture on the river, the canoeing slalom section, which is right opposite the hotel, which is just to the left out of picture, the hotel. But now they are racing seriously. They've gone through 16K. They're approaching 17K. And Isaiah Lazoy has taken off whatever might have been holding him back, and he is powering on here. And isn't he a magnificent looking racer, bouncing along, really powerful stride, there's no doubt about it. He's lengthened the stride, he's increased his cadence, and Lazoy has taken off anything that might have been holding him back, and he's testing the others now, and in the space of a couple of 100 meters, what was a very comfortable little quartet locked together, they look too comfortable. Well, he's ripped them apart, and he's testing the others now. And Ezra Tanui behind him, Ezra Kipkita Tanui, the 27-year-old, who has run 59:43, admittedly back in 2021. He's a 2:07 marathon racer. Kipkita in the second place there in the black and green. Maybe is found wanting for speed. He had a little glance over his shoulder there, left of picture. And that tells me that he's more worried about racing against Kwizeira. They've just gone through 17K in about 47:40, which for me has them on. Yeah, something just under, just calculating here, just under 59-minute tempo. I think we could see some 59-minute clocking here. I think the course record might now be out of reach, that 58.24 from Sebastian Sawe last year. I have to say that when Sawe ran last year, the general thinking was that it was too hot. It was a sweltering day. It was over 20 degrees centigrade, and I think when they were finishing their races, it was around 25 degrees centigrade. But maybe that's what suited Sawe on the day. This morning, it's a much cooler temperature. It's around 13 degrees in Prague. Perfect for marathon racing. Maybe a little too cold, a tiny bit too cool for perfect half marathon racing. But Rodrigue Kwizeira here, having his own little dust-up with Ezra Kipkita. Kipkita, who is a renowned half marathon racer, who's finding his feet in the marathon. Raced 2:07 in Doha this year to win on the 17th of January. Well, Isaiah Lazoy is out on his own, and as she has been almost since the get-go, since the start, some 49 minutes ago, so is Lilian Kazait-Rengeruk, because she has totally dominated this. It's a one-horse race, effectively. The fourth fastest athlete in history is not hanging around. But Rengeruk looking strong, still with that pacemaker leading her every step of the way. She trains with Rosemary Wanjiru, the winner of the Tokyo Marathon in 2023. Rosemary Wanjiru is a 2:16 marathon runner, so I'm sure that Rengeruk's training has plenty of strength built into it. At 15K, she was on 46:15. Well, during her world record, Guide at 15K was 44:29, so very much quicker. But that does nonetheless 46:15 for Rengeruk. Put her on schedule for something around 64:30. She has slowed a little bit, actually. She has slowed a little bit over the last 5K. I thought she was looking a little bit more heavy-legged. There was a slightly more languid look to her stride 10 or 15 minutes ago when we last saw her. But all she's got to do now is hang on to the coattails of this male pacemaker, urge him to push it along and try and survive these next 10 or 15 minutes and see if she can get down there towards the course record. Remember, the event record, I should say, is 64:52 by Joycelyn Jepkosgei back in 2017. There she is in the red, that lonely figure of Lilian Kazait-Rengeruk. Her favourite film, she says, is Back to the Future. Well, she can think back to her run in Valencia last October when she ran her personal best of 63:32 and find that feeling again. She might yet run under 64 minutes today. Isaiah Lazoy, mind you, well, I think he is forging some isolation for himself here. He is absolutely motoring. He is flying. He's gone through 15K in 42 minutes flat and 15K in 42. Puts him on schedule for 59:05. You can see there Kwizeira in the background, top left of your picture, in second place, about 30 meters down. Now, I think that because of this acceleration, while he might have gone through 15K in 42 minutes, which put him on schedule for 59:05, I think Lazoy here is heading down for something significantly quicker because he's accelerated away. And look at the gap behind Rodrigue Kwizeira and Ezra Kipkita in third place. It's a massive gap. He has destroyed James Kipkoech, has Lazoy. He's destroyed the three men who are with him at 15K. That big acceleration may push him on yet to something significantly under 59 minutes. Beautifully balanced, powerful-looking athlete, isn't he? So many of the top East Africans are long and lean without an ounce of fat on them. Of course, running welcomes all shapes and sizes, and elite athletes come in all shapes and sizes. But Isaiah Lazoy here He's a wonderful physical specimen, really powerful in the legs. He doesn't have, funnily enough, track pedigree, and he looks to me like he should have. He looks to me like he would be a wonderful track racer. But what he's been doing in training has been right yet again. I talked earlier about how super consistent he is. In the 10 half marathons he's negotiated before today, he's only been out of the top 3 on one occasion. Now a left-hand turn. That is the final left-hand turn for him on the south bank. He runs here a couple of 100 meters before he moves over the Libensky Bridge. That is the final bridge, and when he gets over that and goes past 20k with a left-hand turn, it's the final running towards the finish line. But he is motoring here. He's being encouraged along the sidelines to push on here. This is a slight upslope, awkward little upslope here onto this Libensky Bridge. He's right at the northernmost point of the course here. 54 minutes on the clock. The women at 17.6k. The men, Lazoy here at 19.3k. He's up onto the flat and onto the Libensky Bridge. I'll tell you what though, Rodrigue Kwizera in the background, the Burundian 25-year-old, the same age as Lazoy here, the Kenyan in the lead, is putting up stout resistance. He's been running cross-country races as Kwizera. He was second in El Goebar in northern Spain on the 5th of January. That's a very big, famous cross-country up in northern Spain. He only lost to Aragawi, the Olympic silver medalist at 10,000 meters in that one, by 1 second in the El Goebar cross-country. It suggests that Kwizera's form earlier on this year, a couple of months back, was fabulous. He's raced the 10K here in the past. He's placed 8th in the world cross-country, has Kwizera. He's good on all surfaces. He's a fabulous track runner, 13.04 for 5,000, 27.25. So Kwizera, left of picture, top left of picture, in second place. What about 35, 40 meters down? Must not be written off. They've got a couple of kilometers to go. When they come off the bridge here with Lazoy leading, they take a left turn, and that's the 20k point. Now that'll be fascinating. To break 59 minutes, they need to be going through 10k, 20k in 56 flat. So it's going to be very tight, but I think Isaiah Lazoy here has front run. He's surged over this last 3 or 4 kilometers to a sub 59 minute clocking. There's that left-hand turn off the bridge. Very shortly he will pass the 20k marker. Let's take a look at that. 56 minutes exactly on the clock now. There it is. 20k will give it exactly 56 minutes for Lazoy at 20k. And that means he's on 59-minute schedule, almost exactly 59-minute schedule. But we've got a great race on our hands because Kwizera of Burundi is not finished. He's chasing hard. There it is. The gap is about 25 meters. And I'll tell you what, Kwizera in second place is closing. Lazoy here. I don't know if anybody's telling him, but his lead is under threat. There's no doubt about it. Isaiah Kipkoech Lazoy, quickest on paper before this race. But Kwizera is closing with every stride. And having chatted to the Burundian in second place 2 days ago, coming in from the airport, off our flights, I said to him, what on earth are you doing with a personal best of 61.53? It was back in 2020. He tried to insist it was in 2019. It was so long ago, he's forgotten. But I checked, it was in 2020. 5 years ago, he ran 61.53, but he was 20 at the time. He's a very different racer now. Kwizera has run 26.56 for 10k on the roads. He should be running about 58.5 for the half marathon. And he's closing, and he's almost in contact with Lazoy. I don't know if Lazoy is even aware of the danger that's coming at him, but there's a real danger here of being caught and maybe beaten on the streets of Prague. They're into the final few hundred meters. Lazoy now maybe recognises the danger, takes that left-hand turn with about 800 meters to go, maybe less. They're into the finishing straight. There it is, 58.58 at 20k. Lazoy being chased by Kwizeera. Has Kwizeera got the track speed? He's a 3:37 man at 1,500 meters. It's going to be desperately tight, this one. And it's going to be so cruel if Lazoy is caught by Kwizeera, who looked to judge this to perfection. The finish line pretty much in sight as they take that final right-hand curve. Now, who has got the sprint when it comes down? The chips are down. The glove has been slapped down by Kwizeera. Lazoy is aware that he's there. The two men in the red of their sponsors charging for the line. Look at the clock. 58.5 minutes on the clock. They are surely going to break 59 minutes here. But Kwizeera hits the front for the final time. Oh my word, this sport can be so cruel. Can Lazoy respond? Isaiah Lazoy in second place has led pretty much from the gun, but he's going to be beaten here today. And what a run, sub 59 minutes for Kwizeera there to take it. Rodrigue Kwizeera takes the win, unofficially 58.55 for Kwizeera. Wow, what a spectacular outcome. Racing to the line. And Isaiah Lazoy loses out for a sub-59 minute clocking. There was a bonus today. For a 58.30, there was a bonus of 20,000 meters. Ezra takes third place. Great running there from Ezra Kipkeita. Kipkeita, the 2:07 marathon runner. Well, he's just smashed his personal best by a big chunk. It was 59.43. He's run around 59.25. And in fourth place, it's James Kipkoech, who comes charging to the line. He's going to be well under 60 minutes as well. And that, for the Kenyan 31-year-old, is a massive personal best too. He comes home in around 59.50. Absolutely superb there from Kipkoech. He broaches new ground at the age of 31. That is special. He's just locked about 40 seconds off his lifetime best. 59.50 for Kipkoech in fourth place. There's the first three. Rodrigue Kwizeera, Isaiah Kipkoech Lazoy, and Ezra Kipkeita Tanui. 1, 2, 3. And the first pair, sub 59. And that does make it one of the fastest times in the world this year. The world best for this year, just double checking, of course, is the 56.42 world record by Jacob Kiplimo. Now, Réngeruk, what can she do? All on her own in terms of female opposition, but she's had a pacemaker from the start. That winning time, by the way, in the men's race, 58.54 is what? It's the sixth fastest time in the world this year. It puts Prague right up there amongst the big Spanish races which are producing super fast time these days. Barcelona, Malaga, and Roma has produced a quick winning time this year as well, although I think that is an unofficial, uncertified course. As we see number 8 here, Timothy Kipkemboi Kipyego making his debut. Well, it might not be under 60 minutes, but it's been a very solid debut from Kipkemboi Kipyego. We don't have an age from him, he's relatively unknown. He was only 23rd in the Castellon 10K on the 16th of February in 29:01. A race won by Yomif Kejelcha, the former world record holder for the half marathon, in 26:31. So this is a really solid fifth place, I think it is, for Kipyego, Timothy Kipkemboi Kipyego. Lovely name, that, Timothy on his bib. And his time is going to be just outside 62 minutes. A good, solid debut for Kipyego. He crosses the line now, 62.24, unofficially. And Vincent Kipketai-Towett, well, he has suffered. I think some of these athletes went with the early pace and then were blown away through the lattice, through the middle of the race when they couldn't hang on to that tempo. Vincent Kimitai-Tout has a best of 60.41. It's not been a good day at the races for him. He's going to finish just outside 63 minutes. I'm pretty sure in 6th place. Tout, his first race of the year. Well, he finished there in about 63.06. He will be very disappointed with that. He's a little unsteady on his feet. Well, he made his debut in Nairobi some 8 years ago, around 64.16 at altitude, of course, up in Nairobi. But that's his 17th half marathon. It's gone wrong for him today. I don't think the 28-year-old will mind me saying that. 6th place in 63.06. But of course, if he went with the early pace and then had to ease back and couldn't go with the maintained pace in the middle of the race, it meant you spent the second half of the race on your own, and that can be very, very tough indeed, especially if you've overcooked it in the first 10K or so. And that might explain the 6th place there by Tout in unofficially 63.06. One of the pacemakers coming home now, having done a great job. They did set it up wonderfully well. I wonder how Renkgeruk is getting on in that women's race. She is way out in front of the rest of the field. She's in her final couple of kilometers now. It'd be great to see her. Just outside 64 minutes. And here is Renkgeruk now. Well, maybe she overcooked it in the early stages. It's not going to be as quick as she hoped. The course record, remember, for the women, the event record, I should say, on a slightly different course, 64.52 by Joycelyn Jepkosko. I think she's going to be just outside that. And she is suffering, working really hard here is Renkgeruk. Well, the Valencia run last October, 63.32, is a distant memory now. She's going to be outside 65 minutes here today. It's still one of the quickest times in the world this year for Renkgeruk, but it is perhaps a frustrating day at the office for her because I think she went out too fast. Renkgeruk coming to the line here. The race record is 64.52. She was hoping for that. She's going to be some 30 seconds or so outside it. So she does take the win. Lilian Kazajda-Renkgeruk is the champion in the 25th edition of the Generali Prague Half Marathon in 2025. Renkgeruk goes right towards the top of the world rankings. And there is Patrick Weber, 65.38, there or thereabouts for him unofficially. That time from Renkgeruk, by the way, I reckon about, what, 65.30 thereabouts. It's the third fastest time in the world this year, behind the winning times of Joycelyn Jepkoska in Barcelona and Sigrid Gebre-Salama in Lisbon. And there is the second place of Veronica Lolio. She's going to be just outside 60 minutes. This is still super fast running. We talk about world records and national records and course records, event records, perhaps sometimes too flippantly, whereas anything around 65, 66 minutes for the leading women is still super fast running. Lolio here, well, she's going to run a big personal best. That tells you how good conditions have been here today. The 27-year-old Kenyan has a best of 67.08 from Copenhagen last September, but Lolio is going to come to the line here, setting a personal best, 66.39 unofficially. That is a personal best by some 28 seconds or so. Her first time under 67 minutes. And in the men's race, Jiri Homolac, well, Jarka on his bib number comes home for second Czech runner. His time around 66.50. 66.55, something like that.
Jednoznačně zapsáno do tabulek jakožto nejlepší český reprezentant nejenom pro roky 2023 a 2024, ale také pro rok 2025.
Big crowds around the finish line, of course, and they'll only get bigger as more and more family and friends congregate around the finish line, wanting to welcome home their loved one. Still great racing by these men, coming in now 67.5 minutes on the clock. Joshua Adam Lunn, I think that is Great Britain, the 32-year-old from Cardiff. He'll be disappointed with that run. He's a 64.54 performer at his best. That was at the super fast Houston half marathon back in 2022. They had a very fast race in January this year, but Lund there home in just inside 68 minutes.
According to the unofficial results, the finishing time of the winner, Rodrigue Kwizeira from Burundi, is 58.54.
58.54, we're just hearing the official winning time of Kwizeira. And it does make, as I said, one of the fastest times in the world this year. So that is 58.54 for this year is the sixth fastest time in the world this year. And in the women's race, well, 68.5 minutes on the clock. Still fabulous running from Cynthia who Haile Michael there. She's come home, I think, in fourth place in about 68.44. F2, Yaragal. Well, she will be disappointed with this run, and she'll be outside 69 minutes. Her best is 66.27 from a third place in Berlin in April 2023. So the Ethiopian 21-year-old, she too, I wonder if some of these top women just overcooked it, went out too hard, tried to go with that almost suicidal pace of Renger. Remember, 5K in 15.04. And I wonder if they've suffered through the second half because of that. There we are, 69.27 for Yaragal, I think, in fifth place. We'll confirm these high placings for you as quickly as we can. But Renger going out in 15.04 for 5K, well, that was almost world record schedule. I mean, frankly,